ABC's Christiane Amanpour has made her way through the dangerous streets of Cairo into the presidential palace to question the man at the center of this worldwide storm, the embattled Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, 82 years old, who survived at least 6 assassination attempts in his life, but is now encircled by chaos. And to get there, Christiane had to move through those rioting thugs out again today in the streets, threatening death to journalists. It is, by the way, 8 miles from that Revolution Square to the presidential palace, a trip filled with peril and unpredictability. An incredible journey on this breaking story, and Christiane joins us now. Christiane, what was it to walk in that room, and what did the president say?
Well, it was an extraordinary experience. Obviously, he's embattled. He hasn't been seen, certainly by foreign journalists or in public, except for those speeches and statements that he's made in the last few days on state television. When I walked in, I asked him how he was. He said, "I feel strong." He said, "I am not the kind of person to run." And he said, "I will die on Egyptian soil." When I asked him about whether he would step down now, he said to me, "You know, Christiane, I've been in public service for 62 years, and now I'm fed up and I want to retire. But if I resign now," he said, "there will be chaos, and I'm afraid the Muslim Brotherhood will take over."
So he drew the line on retiring now. Did he say whether the Obama administration has asked him to retire now? And how does he feel? Does he feel betrayed by the American pressure?
When I asked him whether he felt betrayed, he sort of did the shrug, and he didn't answer one way or another. But he did say President Obama was a very good man, he thought, but that he didn't think that President Obama understood the culture here, and that if he resigned in this kind of situation immediately, then there would be chaos, and he had to do it in an orderly way.
Right now, it seems the most threatening people on the streets are people who claim to be his supporters. Who does he think is behind the violence?
Well, I asked him precisely about that. People who are going and attacking the protesters in the square, using pictures of him, using signs saying, "Stay Mubarak." And he denied, so did the other ministers, that they had made any such orders, that their supporters should attack the protesters. He blamed agitators. He even at one point, so did the other ministers, suggest that the Muslim Brotherhood was behind it. But he also said to me, "I am very unhappy about what I've seen in that violence over the last couple of days, and that I do not want to see Egyptians fighting Egyptians." Something else that was extraordinary to me, and news, his son, Gamal, who had widely been reported to be his anointed successor, was there? He was indeed. He was at the meeting, and so was his wife in the palace, he told me. The family is still here. Again, he said, "We don't flee, we're still here." And he also said that he had never intended to stand for another term of election, and nor did he intend for Gamal, his son, to be his successor. Give me a sense of the security in the palace itself as you're walking the halls. Where were the tanks, and were there armed guards everywhere? Well, as you can imagine, there is, as around any such presidential building, heavy security. And certainly there have been pictures on television here showing some of that security in the last few days. Absolutely. You also had an interview on camera with the newly named Vice President Omar Suleiman. Did he talk about what they're going to do next? What are they going to do about the crowds in the street? Well, exactly that. Both the vice president, other members of the government, and indeed the army itself has asked the people to leave the square now. They've said, "We've heard your demands, and now leave the square." So I asked the vice president what would happen.
If they don't leave, which they say they won't until President Mubarak leaves, what will you do? Will you give an order?
We will call them. We will not use any violence against the youth. But we will ask them to go home, and we'll ask their parents to ask them to come home.
Just to make it clear, you will not order the military to evacuate them from the square?
No, we will ask them to go home, but we will not push them to go home.
Never?
No way. No way.
Do you believe the young people in the square have legitimate grievances?
We, of course, look to their demands, and we discuss it here in this palace, and we decided that we have to respond positively. It is a process. starting by national dialogue, which I started this morning, and we will continue tomorrow and after tomorrow.
Vice President Suleiman said that he had also reached out to the Muslim Brotherhood in terms of dialogue for the future, and now everybody here is waiting to see how the next few days play out. Diane?
Yes, it's a question about the reality and whether reality is perceived or not. Christiane, would you say at this point they think they're going to weather this?
I feel that from what they told me, they think they're going to be able to weather this. And furthermore, the Vice President told me that this is not Tunisia and Mubarak is not Ben Ali. In other words, referring to the fact that the President of Tunisia was forced to flee, but the President of Egypt would not be forced to flee. Diane?
Christiane, thank you, and again to the formidable bravery and reporting of our team over in Cairo. Thank you again, and to all of them.